Oh, I heard a ding. Welcome, everybody. This is our last virtual panel before we head off to, Emily, we've got some guests, if we can get them. Before we head off on Passover break here at Gann, or virtual Gann. We're really happy you're here, and we're really excited about our panel tonight. We are so happy to be welcoming back our recent alums, who are, many of them are college freshmen. Some are doing a gap year, but they've all agreed to come back and talk about Gann and how meaningful it's been to them. We really miss them, so it's a treat to see them all tonight. Moderating our panel is Dr. Dalia Hochman, who many of you have seen on other panels. She's known all of these young adults because she worked with them last year as she was onboarding to Gann and getting to work with them and getting to know them. So we're grateful that she's here tonight to moderate this panel. And she's also going to help us answer any last minute questions that you might have in the admissions process. I will ask everybody to mute yourselves. As I mentioned, this is being recorded. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hochman.
Thank you, Wendy. And Wendy and team, Gina, Emily, I just want to publicly thank you and the rest of your team for a tremendous effort. We had all of these amazing, in-person events lined up, and over 24 hours, you pivoted and created all of these wonderful virtual experiences. So thank you to the three of you for your hard work.
Thank you.
So I want to tell you that I always do my homework, and I did a lot of research on Gann Academy before I applied to be the head of school. I had to move my whole family for this job, so I wanted to be sure this was a good place. So like many of you, I had to decide about the school. And I met with students and parents and teachers and community members and clergy. But then I met the alumni, and I was sold, because I kind of thought to myself, who are these passionate, articulate, humble, funny, wonderful humans? And how did they get to be this way? And they all spoke about Gann as being the most transformative experience of their lives. And I don't know about you, but most people do not talk about high school in this way. And many alumni actually told me, people say college was so transformative. It was okay, but high school was really the time when I became who I am. So for me personally, in deciding to come to Gann, I was really just overwhelmed by the people I met and the nature of their character and their menschiness. And so we wanted to share all of them with you, some of them with you, not all of them. So first, I wanted to ask our wonderful alumni, first of all, thank you all for coming. I know that many of you have come from various places. I think most of you are back in Boston, if not all of you. I'd like you to all introduce yourselves and just let us know where you went to middle school before Gann, or high school if you transferred. And then where you are now, or what you were doing before you were interrupted. I think that would be helpful for our group. So let's start. On my screen, I have Julia up front. So let's start with Julia.
My name is Julia. I am currently a freshman at Williams College. And for middle school, I went to Lexington Public Schools.
Great. And then Deena.
Hi, I'm Deena. I went on a gap year this year in Israel to a modern Orthodox seminary. So basically I was learning Jewish stuff all day, every day. And I went to Maimonides for middle school.
Thank you. Shayna?
Hi, I'm Shayna. I'm currently a first year at Harvard University. Before Gann, I went to Solomon Schechter Day School.
Great, thank you. Eric?
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm currently a freshman at Washington University in St. Louis, and before Gann, I also went to Schechter.
Great. Zachary?
Hi, everyone. I'm Zachary Sherman. Currently, I'm at Olin College of Engineering in Needham, so not too far away. And before that, I was at Lexington Public Schools, also for middle school.
And can I also just add that Zachary's been amazing helping admissions with some video editing. So thank you, Zachary, for all of your help.
Thank you. It's been fun.
The second he graduated, we hired him as an intern. Okay, Jacob.
Shalom, Chevre. I'm Jacob. I went to JCS for middle school. I'm currently a freshman or a plebe at the United States Military Academy at West Point.
Jared.
Hi, I'm Jared Lpsey. I'm currently a freshman at Brown University, and I went to Sharon Middle School for middle school.
Great. And last but not least, I think Isaac.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Isaac. I went to JCDS, or Jewish Community Day School, with Jacob for middle school. I'm currently on a gap year, and due to the virus, I was sent home, but I was currently on a program, or I was on a program in Peru and Bolivia, exploring the Andes and Amazon, and I'll be attending Northwestern in the fall.
Great, thank you. So you can see we have Gann alumni from different middle schools, from different communities, also pursuing different paths. I'd like to ask all of you, it's very hard to describe an experience in a short, pithy manner, but I'd like to ask each of you to pick one memory, one story, one funny experience, one not so funny experience, just one moment of your Gann career that you think for you is demonstrative of what you love about Gann and that you think might be helpful for this group. So can we do it reverse order? Actually, let's just do pop-up. Who wants to start? All right, Shayna, you're up.
One experience that I had at Gann that I think really encapsulates the loving and caring community that I absolutely adored at Gann was during our senior Shabbaton, which is like a weekend where the whole senior class spends Shabbat together at Gann. We all sleep over. It's a lot of fun. And on the Friday night, we had a tish, which is basically just a little hangout where you sing Jewish songs and usually eat babka. And our tish lasted like 3 hours because all we wanted to do was hang out together and sing.
Great. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I mean, there are a lot of moments, but something that really sticks out for me was my senior year, my basketball season. The team worked really, really hard, and it was a really, really great team. Like, it was the most fun I've ever had on a sports team, and I've played sports since I was 4 or 5. And our basketball team was interesting. There were kids on a lot of different grades, and we had 15 or 16 kids, and there were only 5 players on a court at a time. So a lot of kids didn't play. And on a normal basketball team, whether that be a high school team or like an AAU travel team, that could be an issue for team chemistry and kids wanting to play and kids taking that out on coach or not really being supportive of the team. And that's kind of what I expected, because I knew going into the year we wouldn't be able for everyone to play, and playing time just would not be equitable at all. And it wasn't like that at all. The kids who weren't playing as much, I created an Instagram account called the Gann Bench Squad, and they were as much into the team and the team's success as the starters and people who are contributing on the court. And that was like really, really great for me to see. And I really, really believe we were a good team, but I think a key reason why we were so successful on the court was that everyone was so invested, and I don't know, there was an aura surrounding the team that was kind of surreal, and that was really, really special. I hadn't experienced that on any other team in my life outside of Gann, playing on a lot of teams. Kids who wouldn't play would just be negative and kind of be detrimental to the team, but it wasn't like that at all. And that's one of my favorite memories in high school or ever, and easily my best sports memory, because people were just so invested, and every single day was so much fun. And that was just a special group of kids.
As one of the people on that team, ooh, can you guys hear me? Ooh.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah,
Everyone paused.
Not everyone is like Zach with computers. Let's just say that.
Eric seems to have frozen.
I can go if he wants.
Okay, go ahead. We'll pick him up in a little bit.
Okay, so one of my favorite Gann memories, or just things that I think you couldn't get anywhere else, is in 11th grade. Eric, I'm going to go quickly and then you can.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry about that.
So in 11th grade, instead of taking AP US History, I decided to take the other history class, which was, and I think still is, a class basically focused on the history of people with disabilities and just the disability history in America. I never thought that I would learn about that in my life. I'd been involved in a bunch of different programs and organizations with people with special needs before, but I'd never learned the history about it in America. And that's what we did for the entire year. And we actually curated a bunch of objects and basically created an entire museum, which now exists in Waltham. I don't know if it's still up right now. It might have moved somewhere else. But we literally, a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds created a museum, which is really just, it was incredible. Like we had all these artifacts that our teacher had given us, and we researched them really as much as we could, and we were able to really like tell the story of people with disabilities and just disability history in America. And that's just like something really special that I think you could never get anywhere else. So I'm really thankful for that experience. And Rural Hefts is basically our mascot is the red heifer. I don't know if people know that, but basically we started doing this thing last year, Rural Hefts, because, well, this is like, looks like a heifer, and then everyone basically like in the hallways when we were walking by each other, it would just be like a thing, like you just like put it up. And like now also like, I don't know, when I see people, or like, I don't know, I just like get very excited when I saw people in Israel that were also there for Gap Year, were like Rural Hefts, and it's just like this thing, like people have Roll Wave and like Tulane, and it's just like a spirited thing, and everyone's really into it. And it's like wherever Gann people are, when they're taking pictures, first you take a normal picture and then you take like a Rural Hefts picture. So yeah.
So Deena, you totally had what I was going to say. With the museum thing, I just wanted to point out, this is a picture of the museum behind me from when we did that project.
Oh, wow.
All right.
All right, Eric, you want to jump back in on basketball?
Does it work now? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
If it works. So I was just going to say, as someone who was on Izzy's team and one of the people who didn't play as much, there was one moment that really stood out when I thought our efforts as a team came to fruition. And it kind of goes with what Deena was saying about school spirit. But Gann, as you may well know, is a very spirited school with a very active student body, especially when it comes to our competitions against Maimonides. And our senior year, it was after a lot of years of losing our big annual basketball game to Maimonides. That's basically like Gann's version of homecoming. We don't have a football team, so this is our big game. This is where everybody goes. It's played at Brandeis on the big court, and everybody's watching. And in that game, I didn't play, so I didn't get the same experience that Isaac got, but I think being on the team and being a member of the community, as we went out there, we won in overtime, and it brought so much joy to the community. Everybody was there to support each other, and it was definitely one of the most fun things that I was a part of at Gann. Yeah.
Great. Julia?
Hi. So I think that's something that like really can't be overstated about Gann is Gann's commitment to like humor and fun. And I think that for me was like really special and really formative. I'm thinking about like being part of the Gann improv team, which Shayna was also a part of, and like our experience on the team, or I'll speak for myself, my experience on the team was like the most formative like group of people that I've ever been a part of. And it was really special working with the team in practice to like just get better at making people laugh, which is like such a beautiful thing. And then just really, really being supported by the Gann community. I think that like that for me, when I'm looking back on my high school experience, is like probably one of the biggest things that has impacted who I am, and also the choices that I made in college. And since being part of Buttonfly, which is the name of the team, I've in college, I'm now like the editor-in-chief of a satire magazine, and I'm doing stand-up, and like these are things that I wouldn't have started doing without the Gann community and its commitment to laughter and things like that. So yeah.
Who's next? Who hasn't gone? Jacob?
Yeah, so the story that I think for me really encapsulates how special Gann is probably on the 10th grade Israel trip. There was Shavuot, which is a holiday which like some American Jews observe and like some synagogues do stuff, but it's not nearly as widespread as it is in Israel. And it was my second time being in Israel for Shavuot, but my first time having the option to really do stuff. And so what the Gann trip did is it gave us half a dozen or so different options that people could opt in to do to, stay out all night, learning about Judaism, and an array of stuff, stay out late, stay out not so late, all sorts of different options all over Jerusalem, everything from like seeing the house of one of the people we were with and going to the conservative yeshiva to the one I went on, which was going into Mea Shearim with one of the instructors who was like sort of Haredi, but was like, we're just going to take a group of people into the heart of Mea Shearim, which is like the most ultra-Orthodox neighborhood in Israel, and go in between these different sects of Haredim and just try to like see if we can go in and like learn a little bit of Talmud or something like that in these shuls and like community halls that were places I'd never think I'd see before. I don't think many people see. And it was probably one of the options that was the least planned or organized and had like no prior approval, but it was just a bit of an experiment. And we stayed out all night, and it was my first interaction with like Haredi Jews, and it was an opportunity to get to meet some Gann people who were with me in a really incredible way, and to just experience Israel in a way I'd never thought before. And I thought it was part of what made it so amazing was it was how Gann was taking its own commitment and interest in pluralism and finding a way to connect us with an aspect of pluralism or in general, and Jewish pluralism in particular, that was something that extended well beyond the walls of Gann and well beyond the bounds of even the whole Boston Jewish community.
Great, thanks so much, Jacob. I think Jared wanted to add, yeah, go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, definitely. One like very important thing that I took away from Gann is that it's like great to have good relationships with your teachers, and aside from like the incredible one-on-one attention that you can get in the classroom, just like outside of classroom relationships that the teachers and faculty like invest in each student was really special. So one anecdote of that involved the Dean of Students, Miss Jacobs. After school one day, I was waiting for a parent-teacher-student meeting, which happens like once a semester, I think. Don't really remember, but it was basically, the point was to discuss your like progress as a student with your advisor and your parents there, and just get support or whatever. So I was waiting for that to start, and I was doing homework in a classroom, and there are like windows on the doors of the classrooms at Gann, and the Dean of Students walks by, and she sees me in there. She opens the door. She says, "Hey, Jared, how's it going?" I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good, doing some homework." And she goes, "You're a beast, man," and then just leaves, which is like, she's supposed to be this like, enforcing, like scary person, like just if you think of a high school Dean of Students, but no, like that's not the way it is at Gann. You can have a close relationship with someone who's supposed to be in charge of punishing you. Like that's not, I don't think that's something you can get at many other places. So that's just one example of a really great relationship with someone in authority at school that taught me that, these are people that aren't out to get you. They want to help you. And that has definitely helped me in college feel compelled to reach out to professors if I need help, or, try and get support because, they're there to help you. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Who hasn't gone yet? Zachary.
So first I want to reiterate the project that Deena mentioned, because that was such a cool experience and really something I'd never expected to do in high school, and something that I don't think you could have predicted. And also my junior year computer science final project, we got the opportunity to work on basically any project we wanted that involved computer science. So me and my group decided to make musical stairs, sort of similar to something you might have seen at the Museum of Science or in the movie Big that a lot of people have mentioned to me since starting that project. And we decided to work on that project. So I figured it would be kind of an easy project. You know, we would buy the right sensors, hook them up the right way, and it would just work. And that was so not how any of it went. And it led to such a great learning experience, dealing with a lot of problems I didn't expect to encounter, growing closer with my team, with my teacher who helped me a lot with that project. And in the end, we ended up with a really cool final device that was in place for a couple weeks at the end of the year.
It was so fun to go on.
So that was a great project and something that I really think you could only do again.
Who hasn't had a chance to go? Thanks, Zachary. There is a question that I received about whether or not, for those of you who have been in college, how prepared you were academically.
Wait, sorry, Dr. Hartman, can I say one more anecdote?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
A anecdote.
A anecdote, yeah, I like that. I'm all for those dad jokes and such. But sorry to go again, but I just wanted to touch a little bit on what Jared said, but kind of in a slightly different sentiment. Not only are the relationships that you have with teachers incredible, but like what I found, which was super, super important for me and kind of made me more invested in the classroom as like a student and a learner, was how invested they were in your individual success in the bounds to which that extended, like the ways that they were willing to like help you succeed. For example, my junior year math class was really difficult. And like the workload, it was significant and I was trying to balance a lot of things. And my teacher was always willing to help. She was always responding to emails. I would ask her if she would meet, and she was willing to meet multiple times a week. Like, that's just not something that's reasonable or should be expected for a teacher to have to do. And like, while it would be super nice if I told you it was that one teacher and that'd be special, like it wasn't just that one teacher. I mean, Elizabeth Lowenberg, like I'll give her a shout out, is an incredible woman and incredible teacher. But I found that with a lot of different teachers, like my computer science teacher, I was in a class with Eric, and she was willing to meet outside of class and help, and she was willing to stay late. Like Elizabeth would stay later than she was supposed to go home to meet with me. Like they really care about your success. And as like a freshman coming in, like this like rebellious teenager, like I just hated authority. So like I wouldn't want to learn and I'd be disrespectful. But like over time, I realized how much they cared and what they were willing to give. And like the impact that had on me as a learner and like transformed who I was in the classroom was like invaluable. And it's something I'm going to take with me to college. So like I can't speak enough or emphasize enough like how invested the teachers are in the individual. And I have friends at other schools, at other private schools and in public schools, and they just do not speak about their teachers the same way that I do or my friends do. And like, not only does it help me as like a student, obviously more time putting in is going to yield better results, but it made me care more because I saw how much they cared and how passionate they were. And that's something that was super, super special and like incredibly impactful in my high school experience. And yeah, I can't say enough. Like I wanted to go twice. So, I mean, you understand.
I mean, that enough said, you wanted to go twice. Does anyone want to comment about the academic piece? You know, all of you are attending these very, competitive colleges and institutions, and how do you feel in terms of your preparation from Gann? Julia, did you want to say something about that? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So I leaving Gann was not worried about like being academically ready for college because like I knew that it was going to be manageable. And I think that it's definitely turned out to be the case. I know how to write an essay and I know how to plan a study schedule and I know how to study for an exam and like things like that are like unquestionably like tools are like that are given to Gann students no matter what. And I think that's something that's actually even more important than academic preparedness, which for I would say most Gann students is like translates very easily to a college environment, is like personal preparedness and preparedness as an individual and a person. And I think that it's a way bigger deal if you're going to college maybe without like all the tools that you need, which Gann provides for you, but you don't know who you are as a person. And I think that being secure in my identity, which is something that Gann gave me along with my academic tools, was my sort of key to the kingdom in college. And I think that along with all of the amazing things that I was given by Gann and my experience at Gann, the biggest thing is the fact that I'm secure in my identity, and that I'm secure in talking to professors, and I'm secure in reaching out to classmates. That is by far like the biggest gift that Gann could have given me.
Great. There was a question, and then I'll get to Deena. I know there's a few folks who want to speak. There was a question about the academic honor code. We have a really interesting model here called the Dean's Advisory Board, where if there's an infraction or any sort of conduct question, students are elected to an advisory board to help weigh in on what should happen. So it's a sort of similar model to an honor code at other schools. And I think for those who both participate and those who are on the advisory, I don't know if any of you were on the advisory board. Okay, so maybe Jared or Deena, if you want to speak about that, that would be great.
Yeah. Zach, if you want to like jump in whenever, we were both on it our senior year, and that was actually the first year that the Dean's Advisory Board existed, and the year before, and since like, I don't know, almost as long as Gann existed, there was what was called the Vad HaMishpat, which was a similar, it had similar jobs, but it was a different format. I mean, there were like hearings. I was a member of it my junior year, so I sort of know how both groups worked. And the Vad HaMishpat was very, like the students engaged with each other if there was someone who did something that was against the school's values. Like there's a common problem of underclassmen going off campus to get food or whatever. I won't say common as if everyone does it, but it's like a recurring issue. So part of the Dean's Advisory Board was like attacking school rules from the students' perspective and the deans, and just trying to work together. So it was less focused on these individual cases and more thinking about how the rules are written and what we can do to make sure that that these issues won't keep recurring. So that was a very, I won't say major change in the values and the jobs, but more just the perspective and the way things were handled was changed. And I think it was a good change. And also it gave more voice to younger students, because the Dean's Advisory Board consists of students from all ages rather than just upperclassmen.
Sorry, I was on mute. Great question. Deena, do you want to add?
I was going to talk about academics.
Oh, that's fine. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually was on a gap year this year, and we weren't like graded or anything. So it's not the same experience as college. I'm going to University of Maryland next year, but I think that really hands down the best thing that I got from Gann was just the like living by the need to like love learning. And I really learned to love, I learned to love learning at Gann and from the teachers and from we were discussing, just to like be curious and want to learn new information and really take things in from the outside world. Like we're all living in it, and we're all a small part of it, but we can choose to be a big part of the world. And a big part of that is really exploring and taking in all this knowledge. So like this year, I didn't get any credit for what I did this year, but I learned from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day of the week, except for Shabbat and Fridays, with 2-hour breaks for meals. And I did that because I chose to. My parents didn't force me to. And I think that Gann really gave me the ability to love that and to want to be there every single day, and to even stay late sometimes. Like sometimes I found myself learning in the Beit Midrash, which was the learning space, until 12 at night, which like who would have thought, right? So I think that it's really creates this like special, you know, little spark in your head of like, I want more learning. I want more learning. I want more learning. That's always there. And I'm like, people are like, oh, are you scared for Maryland? And I'm like, I'm so excited. Like, I happen to know my major, which is kinesiology, which is the study of like body movement. And I'm just so excited to learn. Like, I know I sound like a nerd or whatever you want, but like, again, you could be anything. And like, everyone just, you love learning. And I'm really so excited. So I think that's really special that we're like taught that, and that's something that we get out of Gann. I think like that's the most important thing. Why would you learn if you don't love it? Like, why would you keep doing it?
Zachary, do you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll connect to what Deena said and also something that Isaac said a little bit ago, which is that there are still so many teachers who I wish I had the opportunity to learn from at Gann. I just couldn't fit, like I had so many classes I was already taking, I couldn't fit them into my day. But if I could go to Gann for another year, I would. There are still so many teachers who I would love to learn from. So that, and also somebody mentioned about, you know, how well does Gann prepare you for college? So personally, there were a couple schools that I was looking at, you know, applying to during my junior and senior year. And I knew that I was gonna need to have a strong basis in math. So I took the opportunity to take an extra physics course that I wasn't, you know, originally planning to take. I actually transferred into that course a couple weeks into that semester. And I loved that class, and I really enjoyed getting to learn more physics, calculus-based physics that I hadn't gotten to learn in freshman year physics. And so that was just a really cool opportunity. I got to learn from a new teacher at Gann, who turned out to be an excellent teacher, and really learned some physics topics that I never expected to learn, and that I think made me even more prepared for college.
I think Jacob also wanted to add.
Yeah, I think what everyone said about academics at Gann is really true. And I think I really came away with a deep love of learning. In fact, my senior year schedule, I actually tried to double book it with mixed success. But the other, I think, aspect of learning at Gann is just how supportive other students are, which is when people sometimes ask me about similarities between West Point and Gann, which are not generally thought of as very similar places. One of the things that I thought I was very well prepared for is at Gann, I think there's real norms around both the willingness to ask other students for help or assistance and to provide it to other people, even when it could be for a lot of time if you have a busy schedule. Like I had friends who were far busier than I who would be willing to help me with math or pottery, which was something I struggled with. And, you know, I had helped people with like Supreme Court class, which was one of my favorites at odd hours of the night. And that I think is a culture which is really unique and vibrant at Gann and isn't the norm elsewhere, and is something that has helped me a lot in the past year.
I wanted to make sure we open it up to our prospective students and their families. Are there other topics that we haven't mentioned? Okay, we have a question. There's two questions actually, so you can take either one. The first question, so let me just start with the first question. First question has to do with, you guys are all, you know, it seems like high school was a breeze for you, but in cases where you maybe struggled a bit more, what kind of supports did you find again to help you with the learning? Shayna, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna lie, like I had a lot of work at Gann, obviously. I think we all did. And there were classes where I definitely, you know, like one of my friends would try to explain something to me and I just still didn't get it. But our teachers were almost always available for office hours and meetings, and I think Izzy was talking about Elizabeth, who I love her, by the way. Like she would stay after school if you needed her to. Like the teachers are always there for you and will always give you support. And yeah, I think even in classes where I was struggling with the material, like I knew that I could always go to my teachers' offices and ask them questions, and I would always leave better prepared for that class.
Deena, do you want to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think like I know that Gann puts a lot of thought into the teachers that they hire, and there are all these like professional development days, and it's like, yay, day off, but also they're really trying hard to be the best that they can be, and you can really see that in every single class. And like the teachers are watching other teachers and giving them feedback, and they, you know, like who just said, I don't know who just said it, but like the teachers' offices are always open. And there were so, like, yeah, Gann had a lot of work. Like it wasn't a breeze. Like it was great and we all loved it, but we're not going to say it was easy, like, you know, but the teachers, they make it feel like it's, you know, easy. Like it's challenging enough that it's really making your mind work, but it's not like, oh, like I'm doing nothing. Like it's not so hard that you're, you know, blowing up, right? So anytime, of course, you have those like freakouts in the lobby, right? I had a few times where I was like in the lobby and I was like, oh my God, I have 10 different things to do and I don't know what to do. And then you have two advisors who are a 2-minute walk away, who are willing to make a schedule with you and to say, what else is going on in your life that's making things stressful? And then you walk to a teacher and then they're like, oh, how can I help you? And literally, even if you like screamed at them, they would still listen to you because they want to help you. They want to be there for you. And they know that you can be successful. Like Isaac was saying before, like they want your success. And then there's also students all around sitting on couches, sitting at desks, you know, who are always willing to help. So I think, and like even intergrade. So I think it's really a very supportive environment, and everyone's success is wanted by everyone around them again. So very thankful for that too.
Emily, do you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to add, I wanted to jump in, I couldn't help, but Deena mentioned, you know, I've definitely heard her mention before in last year, and some of these guys have said, it's a really nice balance between really challenging you and stretching you, but also being there to support you in a time of, you know, pressure or high stress. And I've definitely heard a lot of you guys, and chime in and, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard you on multiple occasions say that it's just a place to come and learn and be happy while also really being pushed and challenged in a supportive environment. So I've heard all of you say that in the moment, and I'm happy to see sort of where that's led you. So just want to add that in.
Great. And I think, you know, I want to, mindful of everyone's time and how many Zoom calls we all have during our day, I want to ask one final question that's really goes to the heart of our philosophy educationally here. You know, I think I encourage folks to measure the worth of a school based on growth, because education is really about growth. So students come in and we all have what I like to say jagged profiles, right? There are some areas where they're better developed than others. And an education is supposed to, when done well, really grow an individual from point A to point B and push them, and it's very individualized. And what's interesting about it is that it's also done, this individualized growth is done within the context of community, as all of you have discussed. So I'm wondering if one or two of you can talk about an area of growth, because you all didn't start Gann this fully successful, you know, and so I just want to, you know, sometimes it's helpful for folks to hear about sort of pain points and how you grew through them. So maybe if one or two of you want to share. Okay, great. Deena, do you want to share? And then Jared?
Yeah, sure. So I think that probably one of the, you know, best things that I got from Gann was just the understanding of living in a diverse world. And I think that there are so many different examples I could come up with, but, you know, this year I got to my gap year program, and it's all modern Orthodox girls. So most of them have been raised in similar situations with very similar mindsets. And I was sitting in classes, and it was a little bit hard for me because people were just like stating things, and then they were like, and that's that. And I hadn't been in that sort of environment for the past 4 years, because in Gann, it's really encouraged to have your own opinion and to be different than other people, and to, you know, really like say, this is who I am, and like I'm also figuring out who I am, and and that's okay. And so like we literally learned in 9th grade, I don't know if you guys remember, but like we learned in 9th grade how to have a conversation with people who have a different opinion than you, or people who you disagree with. And I think that's so important. And like just understanding that, you know, like, you know, Shayna, who's, you know, also pretty religious, but then has some different Jewish beliefs, but we both love, you know, some TV show, and we also love hanging out outside. Like, you know, just understanding like what it means to live in a world of diverse people, and to be successfully living in that world, I think is like so important for everyone to understand. And with the like so many opportunities, just countless opportunities in Gann, for each person to, you know, the sports and the classes and the friends and just everything, really just like being able to find out how to live in a diverse world, I think, and finding out like who you are and what that means, to like be you in a diverse world. I think that's the best thing I could, you know, say, that the biggest growth that I had in Gann.
Great, thank you. Jared, and then Isaac. I'm just mindful of time. Everyone has a growth experience. So for those of you who can't share, maybe share a little bit in chat if you feel comfortable. Go ahead, Jared.
I'll make this quick. And this also goes back to the last question about preparing for the college workload and pace. Coming into high school, I just like could not imagine myself making my own schedule or figuring out like how I was gonna divide my time to fit what seemed like a really intimidating workload of high school. But just being thrown in the water, not by Gann, but just like entering high school and figuring it out with the support of the faculty and my classmates, like I figured it out. And I assume everyone else, you know, has a similar story of just somewhere along the way, you're able to figure it out how you're going to manage your time. And going into college, it's just like, you know, I got this. Gann taught me how to do this. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, Isaac, do you want to finish us off?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was just going to say that, like, I think that in order to grow, you need to be somewhat uncomfortable and like put in an area of discomfort. And that was a big thing for me at Gann. And like, I see the question about being prepared for college workload and pace, and is Gann challenging? Like, I don't think high school is meant to be super, super easy. And I don't think it would be that fun if your schedule was just always empty. Like, I was always busy and I chose to be busy, but the beauty of like the Gann schedule and curriculum is I got to like choose the ways in which I was busy and how I filled that up. Like if you scroll across this list, like you're going to see kids who are in athletes, kids who are in music, kids who are in theater, kids who are doing stuff in tech, kids who are putting on productions. Like, you get to choose, and like me being able to choose what I was busy with gave me kind of a sense of purpose, but also like an interest and commitment into success. Like when I was struggling in my math class, like it wouldn't have been that fun if it was just easy to get an 100 every single time, but putting in the hours of work and then getting a 94, it's like, damn, I did that. That felt really, really good. And that is like what I'm really, really appreciative of. And like, yeah, like I feel so confident and prepared going into college, just because I know the Gann workload is really busy. Like I there were days where I have 7 or 8 classes and I'd have a little break. And also like working really hard like makes that free time that much more special, and that time with friends that much more special. So yeah, if like there's one thing I want to take away is that like high school is not going to be super, super easy, but there are going to be bumps in the road anywhere. But at Gann, there are people you have an incredible support group of people who are helping you navigate those bumps, and you have unbelievable friends who will make things so much fun. Like I've been on a gap year and I've been talking to my high school friends every single day. And I thought like, oh, we graduated, like they're in the rear view mirror, but it's not. Like these are lifelong friends. Like I've talked to almost every single person in this chat at least once within the past couple of weeks. So Gann's a community, not just during the high school experience, also after. Like I wanted to be here today, and that speaks volumes to like the experience. Like I didn't have to. I could just sit at home and kvetch about the virus and where I am. But no, like I want to be here because I want other people to have the same experience and be fortunate to have the same experience I did.
Thanks, Isaac. I think it's just a great point. The fact that all of you jumped at the opportunity to come at 6 o'clock on a Zoom call to do this, I think just sort of says enough. It's enough said. I want to thank all of our alumni for joining us tonight. I know you're all engrossed in a lot of different things right now. And it's just, we're very touched by your commitment to Gann and to one another and to this community. I'm sure that for those of you who are on the call, prospective parents who have additional questions, I'm sure we're able to, Wendy and Emilie, connect folks individually. So if there's a alum whose individual path is particularly of interest to you in terms of their pursuits or background, we can connect you. I hope that's okay to volunteer additional time. And if there are any other questions about Gann that any of us can help answer, we will do our best. Again, I want to thank everyone for sticking with us. I think in some ways, you know, you see a lot about an institution in times that are challenging. And I think this is a lot about this organization that we, you know, in the peak admission season, just pivoted and created these amazing experiences regardless of our situation. And I think that's a great life lesson for all of us, to just sort of figure out how to make it work. And, you know, I really, this is our last experience. And so I really, again, want to thank those who have put their tireless efforts into organizing these wonderful experiences for us. So thank you again to our missions team, to Wendy and to Gina and to Emilie and everyone else behind the scenes. Thank you all. And then finally to our prospective families, we're excited to see you in person very soon. So take care and be well and stay safe. Thank you and have a nice evening.
We will have all of this on our accepted students landing page. Thank you so much.
Thanks, alumni. I feel like we could chat forever.
We could.
The landing page link is in the chat as well, so feel free to visit our landing page.
And we'll add all of our alums emails as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Chag Sameach.
Happy
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Great
Have an
to see
awesome
everyone.
Passover, everybody.
Bye.
Coming.
Thank you.